Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel. So today's video is going to be my top foundations for dry skin or normal to dry skin. The reason I'm doing this video is because I consider that my skin is normal to dry. I do not consider that it's oily. If I do get any form of oiliness, it is just on the T-zone and it's very mild. It's not anything too dramatic. So that's why I'm doing this video. If you do not have normal to dry skin and you have very oily skin, then, you know, maybe try and find a different video on YouTube for you, because this is just going to be for normal to dry skin. I find foundations to be really important when it comes to my skin tone, because I like foundations that are not too oily or greasy, but that are not too mattifying and drying, because that is just not going to work with me, and my skin tone is just going to accentuate my pores and it's going to accentuate the dryness, and I want something that is going to be dewy and it's going to glow on my skin and not be too thick. So I've picked 5 different products. One of them is a BB cream just because I wanted to include it in the video, but I picked 5 different products. These are foundations that I think are really great if you have normal to dry skin. They probably would not work for you if you had oily skin, or at least I think at least 4 out of the 5 would not work for you if you had oily skin. But if you have normal to dry skin and you want to know what my top 5 foundation products are for normal to dry skin, then keep watching. This one I'm going to start off with is one from Covergirl, and I'm going to take the lid off it because it is very dirty. It is the Covergirl Outlast Stay Fabulous 3-in-1 foundation, and this foundation is basically meant to have a primer, concealer and foundation all in one. So it's meant to have the lasting power of a primer, the coverage of a concealer, but the blendability of a foundation. This has SPF 20 in it, and I find that if you do buy foundations that has SPF in it, you are going to find that they are more dewy and radiant because they have that added sort of SPF and brightness in them. So if you are looking for a foundation and you have normal to dry skin, I would recommend that you get one with SPF. I've done a full review on this foundation, so I'm not going to talk too much about the foundations, but just basically why I like them for normal to dry skin. This is a pretty thick foundation. It is definitely full coverage, medium to full coverage. You can build it up to some extent, but the thing that I really like about this foundation is that because it is thick and it is quite a full coverage foundation, you would think that it would be a little bit too much for dry skin, but it honestly is not. It looks very natural on the skin. It does kind of look a little bit like you're wearing foundation, but it's nothing too dramatic. It's not like say the Revlon Color Stay Whipped foundation, which I don't personally like for my skin because I feel like it is way too thick for my skin and it looks like I'm wearing a mask. This one doesn't at all. It is pretty cheap. It's from Covergirl, as I said. It's from the drugstore, and I just absolutely love it. I think that it doesn't what's the word, like, it's not matte, but it's not a dewy finish. I would say it's kind of in between, like more of a satin finish, but it is absolutely amazing. If you have normal to dry skin and you are thinking about trying this foundation, I definitely recommend that you do, because even though it is thick and full coverage, it's not too thick to the point where it will look like you're wearing a mask. It's just perfect, kind of in the middle. If you do suffer from oiliness, it's not too dewy or too oily, and if you don't suffer from oiliness and you have dry skin, it's not too mattifying. It's right in between, has perfect coverage, and it just gives a really nice kind of natural finish. Next foundation is one from Rimmel, and this is the Rimmel Match Perfection foundation. This is one that is definitely quite dark for me at the moment, but basically this is a light perfecting radiance foundation. So this is one of those ones that is going to be perfect for dry skin because it's going to make your skin look dewy. Once again, it has SPF 18. I would not recommend this foundation if you have super oily skin, because I sometimes put this foundation on, especially if I put more than one layer, and I look like a greasy monster. You do not want to apply too much of this if you have oily skin. You want to keep it down to a minimum. The thing that I like about this foundation is just basically that it is a light perfecting. It does give off radiance, it does give off a dewy look. I would say that this would be a medium coverage foundation. I wouldn't say that it's completely full, but I wouldn't say that it's light either. It is a very light consistency foundation, but it is buildable and it does have good coverage. This one personally is a little bit pinkish for me because it is a beigey color, but it's still a really good foundation. I think that I've owned 2 of these foundations before. I really like the smell of Rimmel foundations as well. I know that that's completely off topic to this video, but yeah, I really do like the smell and I like the packaging. It has a pump, as does all of the products that I'm going to talk about apart from the BB cream, which I think is really important if you have dry skin to have a foundation that it contains a pump, because you control how much you're putting on. When you have one that just pours out or something in a jar, sometimes you can apply a little bit too much, which can look a little cakey and a little bit full on your skin, but this one has a pump, so it's really good. But yeah, the main reason I like this for dry skin is because it does have that radiant dewy effect, but it's not too oily if you apply a small amount. My next two foundations are from Bourjouis, and I think Bourjouis Paris make the best foundations for dry skin. I'd probably stay away from them if you have really oily skin. Maybe you could get away with using them if you have combination skin, if you just kind of make sure that you powder the T-zone and set it properly. But if you have really oily skin, I think Bourjouis foundations are not the best brand for you, because they generally make foundations that are very natural, that have a lot of fruit-based properties, and they really do make your skin quite dewy and quite natural, which is not really something that you want if you have oily skin. They aren't mattifying foundations at all. So the two that I have here are the Healthy Mix foundation and the Healthy Mix Serum. These are meant to be 16-hour wear foundations, so obviously they are meant to be great if you have dry skin, because normally if you have normal to dry skin, foundations aren't going to come off your skin super quickly. The Healthy Mix foundation, both of these are very, very similar. They contain things like apricot and fruit kind of extracts, as you can probably see on the packaging. So they are very natural foundations that are meant to just radiate your skin. The Healthy Mix foundation is a little bit thicker than the Healthy Mix serum, so this one has a little bit more coverage, I find. If I had to repurchase either one of them, I would repurchase the Healthy Mix. This foundation is basically like your skin but better. It is not cakey. You can build it up to a certain extent. I would say that it has a medium coverage, this one, but you can build it up to a certain extent. It's not, in my opinion, going to be super full coverage if you have imperfections on your face like redness and blemishes. If you have nothing wrong with your face, and this would probably be the perfect, nothing wrong with your face, if you have no imperfections, then this would probably be the perfect foundation for you, because it is a very, very natural looking foundation. You can pat this onto your skin with a flat top brush, you can buff it in. It is just going to look like your skin, but 100 times better. It just gives a really, really dewy, radiant look to your skin, but it blends really seamlessly into the skin, so it just looks natural, which is the perfect reason why I love this, because it doesn't cling to any dry areas on my skin, it doesn't accentuate my pores, and it doesn't look mattifying or cakey on my skin. It is just absolutely perfect. And then the serum one is a little bit less full coverage than that one. It is sort of a more gel based formula, so it's going to look a little bit more lighter. I think that if I think actually that this one is a little bit more mattifying actually than this one, because this one is more full coverage than this one, and that one doesn't have like a gel based property. It's just like a liquid foundation, whereas this one is more gel based. This one pretty much very similar to the Healthy Mix one. I would say this one is a light to medium coverage, so whereas the other one is more medium, I would say this is a light to medium. Just absolutely perfect for your skin if you want that radiance. That is exactly what you want if you have normal to dry skin, is wearing a foundation that's going to make your skin glow. You don't want to wear something that's going to make it matte and look dry. So I definitely recommend this one and all of the other foundations from Bourjouis. They're all very similar in consistency. I feel they're all very dewy and natural looking, and they have a lot of natural ingredients in them, so I love these foundations. And then the last product that I want to talk about is a BB cream, and this is the Garnier Miracle Skin Perfector BB cream. They have 3 different types of these. This one is for combination to oily skin, then they have one that is just the normal one, and then one for sensitive. I haven't tried the one for sensitive, but I tried the one for normal, which is in a smaller little tube. This one's for combination to oily skin, which might contradict what I'm saying, because obviously I'm talking about dry skin, and why would I want something that is going to control oil when I don't have it in the first place. The reason I picked this one is because the one for normal skin makes my skin look oily, and as I said, I do not have oily skin, so I don't want something that's going to make my skin look oily. This one is a lot thicker in consistency. The other one has a lot of shine to it, and it can kind of look greasy on the skin. You definitely need to set it. I feel like you do need to set this one, this BB cream, unless you have super dry skin. Like even I feel like I need to set it, just because it's very light and kind of liquidy. but I definitely recommend if you have normal to dry skin going with this one, and don't go with the normal one if you have oily skin, because it is actually really greasy. I don't know what they were thinking when they made that product. And it's very, very oily and shiny, but this one is perfect if you have normal to dry skin, and even if you have oily skin, I would suggest this one over the normal one because it is a lot more mattifying than the other one. I really like BB creams and stuff like that. They are sort of, BB creams are sort of a blemish balm is what they're called. They're meant to be sort of a combination between tinted moisturizer and foundation. So they're not meant to be super light like a tinted moisturizer and give as much hydration, but they're not meant to be as thick as a foundation. I personally think that the Garnier BB creams are very similar to some lightweight foundations that I've tried, which is good because they cover things and they help to cover redness. They're not as thick as a foundation or as good of coverage, and I do tend to not wear these as much as I do foundations, but they're still really, really good, and I like this brand of BB cream. I haven't tried a ton of BB creams before, but I do really like the Garnier one. I would repurchase this again. It just kind of helps to even out your skin, gives radiance to your skin, to make your skin look very naturally radiant and glowy. So I love this, and I definitely recommend that you try this out. So that is it for my top 5 products for dry skin or normal to dry skin. As I said, if you suffer from that and you are looking for a foundation that's not too full of coverage but that still gives coverage on your skin but makes your skin look glowy and dewy and all of that sort of important stuff that you want your skin to look like when you have dry skin, I definitely recommend that you try out those foundations. So that's it for this video. Hope you found it helpful. And another thing that I wanted to mention is that I have actually started on my blog again and started writing on it. So if you haven't followed that, then I'll have the link to that below. So I'll talk to you guys soon. Bye.